Ahoy and welcome. My name is Clemens Helm and this is Codeship's Testing Tuesday, episode 20. Recently we talked a lot about testing JavaScript. Today we want to apply our knowledge and set up continuous deployment for a Node.js application. We've got a very simple web application that we want to deploy continuously. By continuous deployment, we mean that every change to our application gets immediately deployed if our application still works. To prove that our application still works, we write tests in Jasmine, a JavaScript testing framework. If you want to learn more about Jasmine, watch the last few Testing Tuesday episodes. I'll link to them in the further info section. Our application is a simple web app that greets visitors depending on the time of the day. So now it greets me with good afternoon. We've got an app.js file that contains the HTTP server. I took this example from the Absolute Beginner's Guide to Node.js by Brendan Kennedy from Modulus. If you're new to Node.js, you should definitely check it out. I extended the example with a greeting function that returns a different greeting string depending on the time you pass to it. I've got a Jasmine spec that tests the function with several times a day. When we run Jasmine, it tells us that all our specs work and everything's alright. So let's get our app online using continuous deployment. We're gonna deploy our app to Heroku using the Codeship. Our code is stored in a Git repository on GitHub. Let's sign into the Codeship with GitHub. I choose GitHub as my repo provider, pick my repository greeting, and select Node.js as my technology. We are asked for some setup and test commands. The only setup we need is to install Jasmine Node. So we enter npm install Jasmine Node globally. To run our tests, we want to run Jasmine Node on the spec directory. So instead of npm test here, we enter Jasmine Node spec. Okay, let's give this a try. To run our first build, we just need to push something to our Git repository. Fortunately, I haven't pushed the application yet, so I will do this now. Now our build starts running on the Codeship, and after a few seconds, it succeeded. When we look into this build, we can see that it ran Jasmine and everything went alright. But we also want to deploy our application every time our build succeeds. Let's create a Heroku app greeter. So create a new app with name greeter. And on the Codeship, all we have to do now is to add Heroku to our deployment configuration. So we choose Heroku, enter the name greeter, and usually we have to enter our API key, but mine is already filled in here. Now let's go back to our project and run the build again. And after running the tests, the Codeship also runs our deployment for us. Done. Let's check out our app online. It should be at greeter.herokuapp.com. It worked. But what if we break something in our application? Let's give this a try. We removed the else branch of our greeting. So let's commit this version. And push it. On the Codeship, our build already started running. But now our build failed because our Jasmine specs failed. The build stopped right where it failed, so our malicious code didn't get deployed. This way we can safely push every change to our application. If our tests succeed, our changes go live. Otherwise the build will fail and we'll have to fix the bugs. I'm a big fan of continuous deployment and I hope you like it as well. Next week will be the last Testing Tuesday episode for this season. We'll talk about QUnit and how it compares to Jasmine. Have a beautiful week And even when the sun ain't shining, always stay shipping.